Okay, so when I was talking to my guides and angels today, I was like, what do you want to talk about today? And this was very interesting because I heard back from the angels, and the angels are much more quieter than guides for me. They're almost like a breath or a whisper. It took me a while to really get the frequency of my angels because it is such a quieter, gentler energy. Whereas my guides have had at least one incarnation on earth. All of our spirit guides have had at least one incarnation on earth. And because of that, they talk more, it's telepathic. When I hear it's always telepathic, but they talk more like we talk. Okay. So today, this was specifically a message from the angels. They told me that it was important for me to be gentle today. So to be lively and entertaining and yet gentle. And they also said that it would be really nice to talk about the subject of kindred souls and soul families. Now, I know you guys, this is just going to be a refresher for you. You have all experienced this, every single one of you. And it is a really amazing phenomenon, that we tend to take for granted. We just kind of don't, we say things that's really interesting on the human level. We say things like, isn't it crazy? Oh, how weird. Like, can you imagine? Like, guess what happened to me? And those are all our language for something bigger and greater than us is going on. Divine spirit is having a presence in our lives. And on a human level, we recognize that it's out of the ordinary. And yet we're still like, isn't this a little weird? Because woo-woo can be a little odd sometimes when you're experiencing it. Although if you're like me, and I know, I know some of you are for sure, Eleanor, if you're like me, you've had many, many interesting experiences with spirit and the divine. So let me tell you a quick story. And I wrote this on an Instagram post last week, and it kind of inspired this today. But there's a woman that I met 18 months ago, 2 years ago, maybe, I don't know. And she actually moved to my really small town. And the moment that I saw her, right, I called her, I talked to her on the phone first, and I just instantly felt this connection. And then we made an appointment to meet because she actually does hair. So I was looking for that. So we made an appointment to meet. And the moment that I looked in her eyes, I just had this, my body was flooded with this overwhelming feeling of just warmth and love. And I just knew that she was a kindred soul. She was a soul sister that we have had past life experiences before. And I looked in her eyes, and rather than shaking my hand to say, nice to meet you, or give her a hug to say, nice to meet you, I actually looked into her eyes and I said, oh my gosh, there you are. Where have you been? And it took her by surprise, right? And it took me by surprise because I said something that vulnerable, but where have you been? And it was the craziest, again, see, that's the terminology. It was the craziest thing. We literally picked up that second of where we left off in a past life together, right? We were best friends in a past life. And we just picked that right up. And she has entered my life, and she has become one of the most important people in my lives today, right? So that is what a kindred soul is. When you meet somebody, now Eleanor's on here, so this is way different than a twin flame. I'm not talking about twin flames. I'm not talking about romantic relationships right now, okay? I'm talking about relationships, like friendship relationships, is really what I'm talking about today. Twin flames is a whole nother topic, and I'm not the expert on it. Eleanor is, but anyway, so the kindred soul is just when you meet somebody and you know them and you just feel like you've come home. You know what I mean? You feel like they've been long lost from your life forever, and you just have an instant connection with them, instant rapport. And, and when you get more in tune with your psychic senses, with your intuitive senses, you're going to pick up on this more and more. I know a lot of you can, you know this, we've talked about in the past and other stuff. Jennifer, you know this too. We've had conversations about this because Jennifer met me. We were at an art retreat, and Jennifer met me, and she looked me in the eyes and she was like, hi, we're going to be best friends. And I just kind of looked at her and I just laughed because I would never be that vulnerable. But Jennifer looked at me and she just knew, she just knew that I was part of her kindred souls. So Ken's had this experience. Jennifer's had this experience. I'm sure you guys have had that experience. It's beautiful. When you get it, do not question it. When your body is flooded with this sense of just love and resurrection, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, you know, we are back together again. Reunification. I think that's the word I was looking for. Reunification. Just trust that your souls were supposed to meet each other in this particular point in your timeline, and you were supposed to really learn from each other, support each other, and be there. It's that Rumi quote that I love that says, we are all walking each other home. When you get a kindred soul, that person and you come together at the right time to literally help walk each other home. It's beautiful. Okay. So the other thing I just want to tell you is I want to talk to you a little bit. They wanted me to mention soul families. And soul family is an interesting concept because really that means that a group of us decided to come down and incarnate basically roughly at the same time. Now, our soul families are typically people that we have past lives with. And when we cross over, when we transition into non-physical form, meaning when we die and we lose our bodies of that lifetime and we cross into the other side, the other realm, and we are out there and we are a non-physical body. We are still living our lives, you guys. We're still doing stuff on the other side. It's pretty cool from what they've showed me, but that we actually have experiences with people from past lives, different souls, that we get together and we really hang out with each other and learn from each other on the other side as well. So that is soul family. So that's a group together. I'm sure for the long people who have been with me from day one that I started Soul Star Magic, you know, Deborah Quartermain, you one of them, Susan, Sith, you know, you guys are part of my soul family. You know, we have an energetic connection to each other that is in this lifetime and other lifetimes. And it is our frequency and our vibration that we find each other and we agree to come together. Now, we may only agree to come together on Mondays, but we agree to come together. We have a shared purpose, and it's important for us in our lives to be together. And that is your soul family. And soul families are incredibly important. Now, your soul family is not necessarily your family, okay? And this is what my guides really wanted to tell you. There's a real distinction there. So, tiny little bit of background, then I promise to get to the card reading, okay? Tiny bit of background. I know you guys have heard about the Akashic Records or the Book of Life or your guide, you know, whatever you basically it is, right? But it is when we are in non-physical form, we decide we want to come back down, we want to have another life. This is the theory anyway, you guys. Remember, anything in spirituality, anything in religion is a theory. And I'm here to tell you this is my truth, but it doesn't have to be your truth. I'm just presenting theories, and it's up to you to decide whether it resonates with you or not. But the theory is that when we are on the other side, we write in detail our Akashic records, and we write them with our spirit guide. And we also write them, we go before we come down, we go before the Council of Light. And the council is really, you know, 9 souls that are just, you know, over souls that basically work right under God to make sure that we all have the best possible Akashic records, right? So we go and we say, this is what we want to learn. This is what we want to do. This is how we want to live. And we write all the details into our chart or our book of life, you know? And so that includes all of our challenges. And we all choose something called an option. So that is our option. That's our area of in life we want to learn the most of in this life, our option. For some people, it's family, right? Some people, family is the hardest thing they do when they get here. Some people, it's relationships, right? They're like, choose. Like, I choose to learn by having challenging, intimate relationship, right? Some people choose career, you know, they just can't seem to get going. Some people choose physical health. I happen to have chose physical health, right? You know, it's like whether other areas, spiritual, we all have different areas in life and we choose an option. And the option line, our option line is our challenge line. It's our line where we are just going to make sure that we learn the biggest lessons. So for those people who have challenging, their option line is their family. Just understand your soul family isn't necessarily your family, okay? Your soul family are other people that come into your life to help you in this life. Your family may be your option. It may be your challenge. Your soul family are your support people. So they just wanted me to say that, particularly after coming off the holidays, even though we're in the third week of January already, some people, you know, last year being a 6-year and a relationship year, relationships were incredibly challenging. And they just wanted me to remind you that, you know, if you have challenging relationships, particularly with your birth family, you know, or your family that you created, you know, with partnership or whatever, just know that could be your option line. And sometimes just knowing that helps you feel better. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, okay, cool. This is what I chose to work on. Let me, you know, let's dig in, right? Let's dig in. I'm wondering why me and my son have problems, not me, but someone out there, right? I'm wondering why my sister-in-law and I are like cats and dogs. You know, so, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things. And, you know, and some people have really good option, you know, their love language is their family. So, you know, my husband, my kids, that is my love language. That's what anchors me in my life at all times. Now, you know, my husband's family, yeah, it's a challenge line. It's an option line for me. Okay. Doesn't make it wrong or right. It's part of life and part of living. So that's what I just wanted to talk to you about is soul families. Okay. So the point about all that, the reason why I bring it away, the reason why I bring anything up, right? And I do this and I bring up these kind of esoteric topics, these spiritual metaphysic topics, is I want to bring them back down to earth so they're pertinent to your life. You know, past lives, knowing your past lives is cool. Like, don't get me wrong. I've done many past life journeys. I actually am certified now in hypnotherapy, and I'm going to be able to take people into past lives safely, easily, well, right? That's going to be one of the things I'm going to do this year is do past lives. And I love them. However, to me, it's just entertainment if I don't understand what the purpose is of knowing something in this life. Just knowing about my past life is exciting. It's like going to a movie, right? It's kind of cool. But unless I know how it pertains to me in this life, it's not really that valid. So the point of me bringing up this thing about soul families for you, and the reason why I understand is because the bottom line of this is when you find your tribe, when you find your people, love them, love on them and love them hard. I try really hard to love on you guys every single Magic Mondays. I try to love on this community. I try to give you as much love energy, and you make my week better. I start my week at 11:11 on Monday. I mean, I started earlier, but I started with you because I feel like you guys are my soul family and I love having you here. So when you find your people, you love them and you love them hard. Okay. That's the point about soul, kindred souls and soul families. Okay. Awesome.